This is an act relating to the Public Utilities and Carriers Rhode Island Highway Maintenance and Public Transit Trust Fund Act. It would create the Rhode Island Highway Maintenance and Public Transit Trust Fund. Representative Handy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And we're doing 7344, right? That's the one you just said, I believe.
That's correct.
Thank you very much. I'm going to rely on some of the higher level of details on some of the other folks, but the long and the short of it is this is a bill that looks to essentially come back and find ways to fund the kind of things that we were hearing about 2 bills ago, Representative Camarton's legislation there. When we've got bridges that aren't functioning, we've got roads that need to be fixed, when we've got cities and towns that have potholes, when we've got RIPTA that wants to make transit better to help our economy, and we don't have the resources to step into that, then obviously we need to look for those, and that's part of our job as a legislature. And so working with folks of the Coalition for Transportation Choices, put together this bill based on a couple of the recommendations from the Blue Ribbon panel that was convened a couple of years ago, which included the DOT director, the RIPEC director at the time, Gary Sass. I believe, no, actually, you know, he might have been already with, I'm not sure where he was at that particular point in time, but it was Gary Sass, Keith Stokes, who at the time was the Newport Chamber person, other people, I believe, from other chambers, and other, and honestly, I can't even remember the other litany of other folks. But these are recommendations they came up with to try to find ways to fill that gaping hole that we're dealing with in our transportation infrastructure here in the state that's causing the problems with the Pawtucket bridges, that's causing the challenges that we're having with the bridges down in the Sakonnet Bridge, all these other kind of component parts of our transit system that is so vital to our economy, that's so vital to having folks be able to move back and forth through our state. And I think folks, you guys may already realize, and I know, I hope I'm not stealing somebody else's thunder by saying it, but we're at a point now where we're basically funding our share of our highway match against the federal money entirely with debt. And we're actually at a point now where we're actually going to be paying more on our debt on that than we're actually, more than half of what we're going to be borrowing will essentially be just back on debt service along the way. When we talk about passing things off onto our grandkids, no, we're the grandkids now. We're the ones that are dealing with this situation right now, and we have to step up and do something about it. So the bill comes up with 2 funding sources. One, it raises the vehicle registration tax from $60 that it is today to $100, and it also puts in place a gross receipts tax on petroleum products here in the state. That one's a little more complicated, but there are other similar models in Connecticut and New Jersey that we'd be able to work off of. I didn't bring part of my notes I wanted to say, but essentially it generates something on, I believe, if I remember right, on the order of $67 million a year. I think 44 comes from the gross receipts tax and 23 from the vehicle registration fee. And again, that's a biannual fee, so it's 20 a year more. I was talking with somebody about it earlier, and you know, if in the end we don't like this or we don't like that, that's fine. But the bottom line is we've got to do something, and so that's why I want to get this conversation started. I know it's an election year. I know it's a tough time in the economy and things like that. But in the end, we still need those roads to get our economy back moving again. And we need those bridges, and we need transit in our state to make that stuff happen. So I respectfully say that we need to step up and do something, and I'm willing to take a little heat for coming up with something like this. But I think that we need to get this conversation rolling. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.